This morning. No, Brother Jonathan knows where I stand.
Bless you, Lord.
I feel like I'm going into battle this night.
Amen.
Bless you, Lord. For a giant one more time this morning. I know it's too big something for me to do, but I'm thankful I know the one that can take care of it.
Amen.
And we'll be reading out the book of Matthew, the 3rd chapter. We don't believe we'll hold you long this morning.
Go ahead with it, Brother Preston.
Like I told him this morning in prayer, and I've had several thoughts this week. Didn't really know where to go to. Didn't know where we'd end up at. But I'm thankful in the Lord. Just maybe somebody just saying something little that may not mean something to nobody else, but just shows you and points you and lets you know where you need to be.
Amen.
Thankful we confirmed it this morning and let us see where we need to be at.
Yeah.
And we'll start there in the first verse of Matthew chapter 3. It said, "In those days came John the Baptist preaching in the wilderness of Judea, saying, Repent ye, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand.
Yes.
For this is he that was spoken of by the prophet Isaiah, saying, The voice of one crying in the wilderness, Prepare ye the way of the Lord, make his path straight. And the same John had his raiment of camel's hair, and a leathern girdle about his loins, and his meat was locust and wild honey." And I'm going to try to tie all this together, but I guess we had a thought it'd be how far we've came or how far we've gone. And, I just began to thinking about, when John the Baptist, he come out of the wilderness preaching, he said he just had on a girdle. He said he had raiment, camel's hair, and a leathern girdle about his loins. And he was eating, his meat was locust and wild honey.
Listen, Lord.
Obviously, he didn't have much clothing on. And, I began to thinking about when he come out of the wilderness there preaching, he said he's preaching for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. And that's something our churches seem to lack today. They don't want to preach about the coming clothes coming to the end of this thing. They just want to preach whatever's going to fall on men's ears and just make them feel good about themselves.
Right.
We need some more God-called men that's going to preach the true gospel. Some gospel that's going to get under people's convict their hearts and let them know where they stand. They're lost and undone and go into hell. And I began to thinking about it. I don't believe old John, I don't believe he stood back one bit. I believe he knew the Lord was on his side.
Amen.
And I believe he come out of the wilderness, and like Brother Zach talks about, I believe he come out preaching with confidence.
Amen.
I believe he stood bold. He knew what he was talking about, and he knew what he stood for was the right because it was of the Lord.
Amen.
He knew of the coming Messiah. He knew that he was going to come and die on the cross.
Come on.
He knew that he was coming to shed the blood that could take away the sin of the world.
Yeah.
And we have something that we can stand in and be proud of and tell the world about this morning.
Amen.
But so fast we just want to fall and we don't want to tell them because we're scared of what they may say to us or what they may do to us. We've came just so far. We can come to church and we're not in caves or we're not out in the wilderness hearing the gospel preached no more. We made a more convenient where people can come and they sit on these comfy pews and they sit in the air conditioner in the summertime. And when the winter comes, we've got heat and we've got electricity and we've got running water in the church.
Yeah.
And we've made it so much easier for people. But they just don't want to come.
Amen.
But the farther we've went, the less and less people's fell out of the way.
Amen. That's right.
People's want to get out of the way. It makes you just wonder, have we came a long way or we've gone too far?
Help you.
I think about the bigger churches and I ain't got basing this off their numbers or the people they got going to their church. I'm basing it because of the so-called gospel that they send out. That's the problem we got in bigger churches. It ain't that they've got too many people going. It's the people they've got behind the pulpit. It's the people they've got making up the church. I believe this thing was put together fitly. He put it together his way. It wasn't the way of some man behind the pulpit or the people in the church. It was put together by his instruction.
Amen.
Just like when Noah built that ark there, like Brother Jonathan said before, many men said before, I believe if Noah would have built that thing just one little cubit off of what the Lord instructed him to, I don't believe that thing would have took float.
Right.
I believe she would have stayed there and she'd sunk.
That's right.
I believe all them animals would have perished and Noah and his family would have drowned out with all of them. But he did it based off the instruction of the God of heaven. So it was all right. So when the waters came, she lifted up and she began to float.
Yeah.
And you know, I think about the people that was there, and they didn't want to hear what he had to say, and they didn't want to listen to the warning that was sent out. So here's your warning today.
Yeah,
If you're
listen
hearing
to it.
lost, I believe when the waters come up, I believe them people started scratching and clawing, and there was one on that thing then, but it said the Lord has shut him in.
Amen.
And I believe he could have tried his hardest to open that thing, and I don't believe he got it open.
No, sir.
Because the Lord himself sealed the door to that
That's
thing.
it. Bless
And
you,
that's
Lord.
how it's going to be. And I'm thankful that one morning I'm saved, and when the Lord comes back one day after a while, and he gathers the church, I'm going with him. Because he sealed my salvation.
Amen.
And he sealed the salvation of the other children of God.
Yeah.
If you would just come this morning, he seal you too.
Amen.
You know, I'm thankful it said that we weren't born of things of this world, of incorruptible things, or corruptible things. We was born of incorruptible
Yeah, help
things.
him.
By the blood of Christ, the
Amen.
Lamb without spot or blemish this morning. That's what it's going to take for you. And I want you to know, sinner friend, if he come back right now, and he found you in that lost condition where you sat, it ain't nothing that you or your family could do to help you,
help him.
or the church could do to save you. You would find yourself in that place called hell.
Bless him.
You know, I don't believe that you just wake up there. I don't believe we just going to appear there and wake up out of a sleep in that place called hell. I believe he said you'd be cast bound hand and foot into that
Bless
awful
him, Lord.
place. You know, I'm beginning to think about, not too long ago, I was reading on the internet. He said, he preached a sermon on hell. And he said, a lady come up to him and told him, I'm thankful you preached that message. He said, because I can only imagine the worst thing about somebody going to hell. He said, if a dad or mama goes to hell, he said the worst thing that could ever happen to them was their child passing them falling into hell and say, you didn't tell me. You didn't tell me. I'm telling
Bless you,
you,
Lord.
the call's going out today because I don't want you to go to hell and you be in that awful place. And the blood be on my hands or the church's hands because you wouldn't go. So you've been warned today,
Bless
sister
you.
friend. I don't want us to get so far out of the will of God.
Amen.
I want us to stay near the cross
Yeah.
and let the gospel keep going out. And I don't want us to go too far to where the church just falls by the wayside.
Amen. Help him.
You know, I think if we keep going too far away from God, I ain't saying friendship is. I'm thankful she's a sound church.
Yes, sir.
I'm thankful for the faithfulness we've got here. But it seems so many times in the world we live in. People say there used to be a sound church there. Listen, there used to be a sound church. Well, if we keep going in the world that we live in, so many of the churches in our association, you think just couldn't fall. You think they will never come to an end.
That's right.
The doors will never close. I want you to tell you, this Big Bear Creek Association may come to an end one day.
Amen.
If we don't get in our rightful place and get about the Father's business
Amen.
and get to work with God and try to see people saved. And
Amen.
the people ain't getting saved being born sons and daughters of Christ. There's no way this thing's going to continue.
Amen. That's right.
Like Brother Greg preached on one time, Brother Johnson said it before. You are accountable for every message that you miss. You are accountable for every service that you're not in attendance.
Yeah, help him.
So every time you're not in the house of God and a message goes out, I want you to realize how serious this thing is.
That's right.
The words of that message could have been just what that child that you didn't bring, or that
Amen.
spouse you didn't bring. That may have been the very message they needed to hear to convict their hearts.
That's
and
right.
let them see their lost condition and go into hell.
Bless him, Lord.
That's right.
We're held accountable for these things.
Yes.
Amen.
And I believe that one day after a while, if that person passes before you do, I believe that them things will go through your mind and you'll just see, well, I wished I'd had that person here. Like Brother James
Yeah.
said this morning. You may just sit back and say, well, I'm not going to say nothing to that person today because they're in a bad mood, or I don't want to talk about that right now. You're going to be held accountable for them things, and you don't know the last time that you may cross paths with that person.
Amen.
You may walk out here today and think, I'm on my way home. I'm going to tell somebody about the Lord today. That might have been too late. You might
Bless
should
you,
have told
Lord.
them yesterday. So
Amen.
when you go home today, and from now on, church, let's stop taking these things for granted and stop getting so far out of the way and get about the Father's business this morning and tell people about the Lord and what He's done for us and what He's done at the church. You might not just go to them and witness to them one-on-one, but just tell somebody else in the presence of them about what the Lord's done for you or what the Lord can do for them. It's on us this morning.
Amen.
And I know we ain't real long this morning, but I just want you to ask yourself, have we gone too far? Or look how far we've came. We've came a long ways, no doubt. Since John the Baptist come out of the wilderness preaching, we've got nice clothes to wear.
Yeah.
We can sit in the air conditioner. But we take that thing for granted so many times. We can stay in that nice comfortable bed, or we can go out and do whatever.
Helping,
We
Lord.
look at this as a second option, but it's time to stop looking at this as a second option.
Amen.
God bless you.
Because I'm telling you, I've seen it. I tell you, church right now, that the door's closed on because of attendance. So when you stop coming, it's going to get easier next Sunday not to come.
Amen.
And Sunday after that's going to be a little easier. And then people start falling out. The doors on this church may very well
Amen.
shut.
Blessing,
I ain't saying that friendship's always going to stand. But I know this gospel, that the same gospel that John the Baptist came out of the wilderness preaching,
Blessing.
I know it's going to stand to them.
Yeah,
That's right.
It's stand when the world's on fire.
Amen.
And I think about, he told Peter, he didn't tell Peter that the gates of hell could prevail against it. He said that the gates of hell would not prevail against it.
Amen.
And I tell you, they ain't going to prevail against this way. I believe this to be the way of truth.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be here this morning.
Blessing, Lord.
It's the way it got me saved. It's the way it's got many others here saved.
It's a one
It's the
thing.
way your family's going to get
That's
saved.
it, buddy.
I don't believe there's another way. So many people
No.
left out of this way. And I don't see how you can claim to be saved and go out of this way and try to find another.
No, no.
This is the one true way.
Amen.
Y'all go with the song.
Blessing, Lord.
Just ask yourself this morning, have I came along?